Welcome, everybody, to the next Succession Link success story. My name is Diana Cabrices, and I'm here today with Cory on the line. Cory bought a book of business on Succession Link in the last year, and he is excited to be here with us today to share his story. So, Cory, can you tell me a little bit about how you heard about Succession Link and what brought you onto our platform initially?
Thanks for having me on, Diana. So I don't actually remember how I heard about Succession Link. It's been a few years. I've been a member now 3 years. So I signed on as a free member, upgraded to a premium member, and have been ever since.
Wonderful. So you were one of the early ones to join the community, and you've watched us certainly grow by the numbers since then, which is exciting. We're very happy to have you on. Could you maybe tell us a little bit about your experience on the platform? What it's been like for you since you signed up those few years ago?
It's very interesting. I like seeing all the listings, reading through them. I'm in a fairly small market, and so I set up a few searches to look at some of the bigger markets that are fairly close to me, and some even nationwide. I think it's interesting how other advisors use the platform. Some seem to just set up an account and don't do much with it. They don't answer when you reach out to them, and then some are obviously a lot more engaged. The one that I actually wound up purchasing, I'd reached out to him a couple of times, didn't hear anything for a few months, but then he reached back out to me and we got a deal done pretty quickly after that.
Wonderful. I'm glad that you mentioned that because, that's certainly the nature of the platform and just the industry in general is, there's a portion of members that come onto our platform. And for them, it's sort of like dipping their toe in the water. They're really just getting started. And so maybe they won't log in as frequently and send responses as frequently as we'd like them to, but they're still involved in some sort of way. And sometimes it just takes a little nudging and could be from our emails that we'll send them or from our engagement consultants that go out and they help sellers send responses. Whatever it was, in your case, it was maybe message number 3 before the person actually logged back in and sent a response. Now, I think what a lot of people would love to know is what kind of deal did you make? Was it an acquisition? Was there a merger involved? Any continuity? We would love to hear that.
It was an acquisition. So I bought out his book of business. In fact, I actually wound up taking over the entire RIA. This particular seller was quite ill, and which was the reason he was selling. And so there wasn't a lot of time for complicated negotiations. So we just made it just an all-out acquisition and executed it, fairly quickly within a couple of months of when we started talking.
Wow. Okay. So then you guys had made contact on the platform, and let's say within 6 months, you already put the deal together.
Oh, yes, less than that, closer to 3 months.
Did you have similar technologies? Did you have similar platforms like custodian clearing firms? Anything there that was similar that made it a little bit easier?
Yes, for sure. So we were both RIA only. We didn't have any broker-dealer assets. We both used TD Ameritrade. He didn't use a lot of extra software other than the custodian. So it made that transition quite simple. It was really just, filing some forms with the state and transferring over the corporate ownership and things like that. So definitely the compatibility made a big difference in how quickly we were able to move things along.
Gotcha. Cool. Yeah. And we are in the middle of launching Succession Link 2.0 right now. We've worked really hard on putting together a compatibility rating tool, taking all of those factors in mind, investment philosophy, clearing firm, custodian, fee versus commission. So if you're an RIA, we want to help match you with other RIAs. So be on the lookout for that. I think that will also serve useful for you as you continue to be a member and use the site and look for other deals. One thing I also wanted to ask you was, were there any surprises for you during the process? I know you didn't have a lot of time to negotiate, but anything that maybe caught you off guard?
I think a couple of things. First, as we started talking, and then I found out that he was pretty sick and that things would have to be moved along fairly rapidly. So that was one thing that certainly is out of the ordinary. He was almost a family office, so he had a few clients that are, relatively large accounts. So it certainly changed my thought process as far as structuring the deal and the risks that I would be taking on and that sort of thing. So, those two things were I would say a little bit out of the ordinary as far as a typical deal. And, we're a little surprising, but we work through them.
Awesome. Good to hear. And then how about the actual terms of the deal? Would you mind sharing with our listeners what those looked like?
Sure. So, given the two situations that I mentioned above, him being ill and it being a few number of clients, we decided that the most fair thing was to just do a payout over a 5-year period, purely based on client retention. So there's no upfront payment, no structured note, so I didn't have to go borrow money. So it's basically just a payout over the following 5 years, which ultimately is going to his widow at this point.
Yeah, and sending our deepest condolences to his family. And I know that must have been an interesting experience for you and for all our listeners. The seller did eventually pass away. So, yep, the payments from Cory will now be headed towards the family. So, this is really ties in for us too as to why we try and drive so much awareness around continuity, around having a successor in place. You guys were fortunate enough to put something together in 3 months. It's not always the same for others. So, again, just another experience here of why having plan B in place ahead of time is so important. Could you maybe elaborate a little bit on how your business looks like moving forward now that you've acquired those new clients? Did you have to maybe hire any staff members or add on any new products and services?
No, I didn't have to hire anyone. It was a small enough number of new clients that I was able to just absorb that in my current processes. I did wind up moving those clients over to the technologies and things that I use. So that took a few months to kind of get everyone acclimated. I didn't have to go hire anyone. I didn't have to drastically change anything. But again, a lot of that was just because of the fact that we were on the same custodian and that there just wasn't a large number of clients that were involved in this process.
And have you ever acquired another book of business before, or was this your first go?
No, it was my first go. It was
Cool.
I'd been looking for a little while, so overall, it was a good experience. Certainly, be interested in acquiring more.
If there are any advisors out there, Cory, who are contemplating joining the platform, could you give them a piece of advice?
I can speak to being on the buyer side, and I would just say be patient. There's probably 10 buyers for every seller out there at this point. So,
Hmm.
just understand that the sellers are going to get bombarded by requests. They may not be able to get back to everybody. Some, as you mentioned, may just be, twinkling their toes in the water at this point. So just be patient and know that there will be people who respond. And even if you don't buy a book in 6 months or so, you may make some good contacts. So I've made some other good contacts through the platform and understand that you're not the only ones on there looking to buy a book of business.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. I think a lot of our listeners will benefit from that advice. It's definitely not an overnight process. And for this reason, too, we also say, start the conversations sooner than later. If you're looking to acquire next year, start conversations this year. And, you're not the first to tell me that you've made some other great contacts on Succession Link outside of just, hey, buy and sell or merge. And for that reason, we like to say we are a buy, sell, merge, and networking platform so that you can make those contacts with your peers that are in the same industry and we can all learn from each other. Super, super important. So, community is huge for us. Is there any other tips that you maybe would want to give to buyers as far as utilizing the platform? Maybe if you want to talk about your listing a little bit and, if you put some extra time into that, or if you found sharing certain pieces of information, led you to more success than others. Any last comments?
Yes, it certainly helps when you fill out your profile to, list a good bit of information. Custodian would be a big one. I think RIA and broker dealer would be another. The more information, the better. If someone's looking at your profile and they can tell pretty quickly if it might be a good fit or not. And then, I mentioned getting the emails earlier, which is a big help. And, it's kind of a constant reminder, but I wouldn't just rely on the emails. If you've got a search set up, but actually go on to the platform, rerun the searches manually, search different areas, and then, click through some of the results and read the profiles before just sending out messages to people.
Yeah, that's quality over quantity. So
Sure.
ensuring you're taking your time and doing things right. So Cory, we really appreciate you being able to share your story with us. If anybody out there is listening who's also had success on the platform, please come forward. We would love to also share your story as well. I think all of our members and, just peers here in this industry can learn from this kind of information. And it's certainly a hot topic, mergers and acquisitions. So thanks again for speaking with me today and being such a valued member of our platform as we grow and we change and we evolve into what we're evolving to now, our Succession Link 2.0, now powered by Chalice Financial Network. It was a pleasure working with you, Cory, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, Diana. Appreciate it.
Take care. Bye-bye.